Welcome to ElevatePod, where we elevate your mindset, inspire your spirit, and ignite your leadership journey. This podcast is brought to you by Elevate Leadership Services. My name is Pearl.
And I'm Chibwechungu.
We are the co-founders of Elevate Leadership Services and the hosts of ElevatePod. The ElevatePod is dedicated to inspiring and empowering listeners, focusing on minorities and immigrants. We offer tools, resources, and pathways to foster both personal and professional development.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we are truly honored to have Remi Ayodele, who will be sharing her journey, her valuable experiences, and her thoughts and opinions on parenting. As we see in today's episode, we are going to explore the journey of parenting, the beautiful, challenging, and deeply rewarding experience of raising children. Parenting is one of life's greatest adventures, filled with growth for all of us, connections, and resilience. Whether you're a new parent, a seasoned one, or simply curious about this journey, the conversation is yours. Every child and every family's pathway is very unique. We'll reflect on the joys and the trials of parenting, share real experiences, and offer practical insights for navigating each stage with grace. As Maya Angelou reminds us, parenting can feel overwhelming, yet it brings some of life's greatest joys. So let's settle in and let's connect through the shared stories and lessons of raising the next generation. Before we start the discussion, I would like to give you a brief bio of our honored guest, Remi Ayodele. Remi is a Maxwell Leadership Certified Speaker. She's a coach, a trainer with over 2 decades of leadership, mindset development, family empowerment, and personal growth. She is the next generation empowerment coach, speaker, author, passionate about helping parents and teens build bridges and trust, communication, and build connection. She blends both the practical insight with heartfelt storytelling to equip families for real-world growth. As the founder of Next Generation Empowerment, Remi has inspired parents, educators, and students across continents to understand personality differences, resolve conflicts with compassion, and communicate with confidence. Her interactive workshops and books, including Practically Connected Parenting, help families create lasting legacies rooted in understanding and intentional connection. As a wife and mother of 3 children, Remi writes and speaks from lived experiences, sharing lessons learned in the everyday moments of family life. Her message is simple yet powerful. When families choose connection over control, they build legacies that last for generations. She's the author of Practically Connected Parenting and the upcoming book Unlocking the Parent-Teen Connect Code: 7 Keys to Build a Lasting Legacy. I can't wait to hear more. Remi, do you have anything to add to this bio that I may have left off?
Thank you so much for having me, Chibwe and Ms. Paul. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I think what I would add to the bio is I'm an electrical engineer turned human engineer. So and the book has been released now. The Unlocking the Parenting Connect Code, 7 Keys to Build Lasting Legacy.
Oh,
So thank you
perfect.
so much.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to Navigating the Journey of Parenting. Parenting is a beautiful journey filled with joy, growth, and moments that test us.
Mm.
Every stage brings its own highs and lows. So, in today's episode, we'll share practical insights, real experiences, and encouragement to support you wherever you are on your parenting path. So, whether you're navigating busy schedules or building values like kindness and resilience, you're in the right place. Please settle in and let's explore the joys and challenges of raising the next generation together. So we'll dive right in.
Okay.
So, going to my first question, I'd like to know, and for the audience, what have been the most meaningful rewards, Remi, in your journey as a parent?
Wow, thank you so much, Miss Paul. One meaningful reward is the fact that I was able to be present with my children as well as build my business at the same time. And that reward is something I won't trade for anything. I can remember very clearly when my first daughter was in college and she called me and said, Mom, I'm trying to make this stew we make at home, and she was FaceTiming me. And so I was trying to help her improvise because she didn't have the same ingredients I had at home. And so I said, well, add a little bit of this, add a dash of that. And I said, Mom, how much is the dash? I said, because in Nigeria, you don't cook with measurements, just
Right.
and so, but for me, that moment, I stopped even thinking about the dash of salt. I'm thinking about the dash of time that has passed between age 0 and 18. And that is the pivotal years of parenting where we have the direct influence on our children. And so, anyway, we went on to finish making her stew. But the reward for me was when she called a few days later and said, Mom, I really benefited from your being present when I was
Mm.
growing up. And so I can't trade that reward for anything else because the fact that I was there in the drop offs, in the pickup, in the homework, those daily moments was very rewarding for me. And so that presence is a high price that I'm happy I got.
Wow.
Oh. You know what? I think many of us who have, I have an older child, and when I hear about being present, no matter how busy you are, it builds connections, it builds relationships that will allow us as parents, even if when the children move to a different place, we'll still have that link. No matter how many days pass without talking to them, and when we come together, we'll still have that link. Thank you for mentioning that because it's the best reward that any parent or can have, no matter whether you're a biological parent, psychological parent, or whatever. Thank you.
Mhm.
Parenting has many challenges and has many surprises.
This is very true.
We learn a lot, we grow a lot.
Yeah.
But what parenting challenge actually surprised you the most once you became a parent yourself? I don't know if your children were born here, your parents were not here, so you were walking and running at the same time to be. So, what are those challenges that surprised you the most?
The biggest challenge is realizing how hectic parenting can be when you don't have your village.
Yes.
And so it was myself and my husband and our
Mhm.
first child.
Mhm.
We didn't know anyone in this city. And so it became important for me to find community quickly.
Yes. Yes.
And I was blessed to have a group of moms from a
Mhm.
church community invited me to join the moms group.
Mhm.
And it was a multicultural group. So you can see the wisdom from different cultures, but we had this one thing in common to raise our children right. And
Mhm.
so just that overcoming that hurdle, And of course, that baby did not arrive with any manual and say, here's the owner's manual. So it's a journey of learning as I'm going,
Uh-huh.
asking for wisdom and reading and researching, and of course praying that
Yes.
I do my best. And as my husband, he's gone to work most of the day, he comes back, and so we take turns. So just that challenge of no community and then having to grow one. And mind you, we're trying to do the cultural adjustment as adjusting to become new parents. So all that. So my community became a lifeline, really,
Yes.
that helped me in that season. Yes.
I bet that one day we'll talk about, let's share these life communities. And I truly believe that having a community, myself as a single mother, I have really, I'm really thankful each and every moment that I had, because I had very many people who served as part of my community. And I tell people I may have raised my child, but I did not raise my child alone.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so you said something very funny, interesting, but so true. They don't come with a manual, right? I like that. So, how do you intentionally build connections with your children in everyday life, considering that there's no manual, you're figuring it out as you're going, the run around, the pickups, the schedules. How, in all of that, how do you intentionally actually build those connections with the children?
Wow, I'm glad you you said the word intentionally, because
Yes,
we all have 24 hours. So we can't borrow from somebody else.
no,
So it's
no.
how to maximize the 24 hours that we already have. So what I advocate is the time we have and we spend with them. We're going to cook, right? So when it's cooking time, cook together and have those conversations around the cooking, around the kitchen. When you're dropping off in school or picking up, that's a time to have more conversation. So anything you're already doing, like they like watching TV shows, right? So I intentionally sit in on some of those shows so that I can help them interpret what they're watching. So those are my moments, but eventually I customize my connection with each child. So like my first daughter, she likes going for walks. So I will schedule time to, it's okay, when are you going for a walk? Or when I have a break, I say we'll just go for a walk in our neighborhood. And so we will walk and we will talk. My second daughter, she likes to read and she likes writing. So I'll ask her, what are you writing or what are you reading? And she likes taking pictures too. So I named her the photographer for the family. So if you want a good picture, she's the one you're going to call for that. And then my son, he likes basketball. So when he's watching, I'm there, like rooting for the
Cheering.
team. And I said, may the best team win. He said, no, mom. You should be cheering for my own
your
team.
team.
And so I would just say, whatever their interest is, find a way to plug in, and whatever you're already doing too, find a way to be together and do it at the same time. So
I like
Oh,
that.
oh, mother. I think I just love. I only have one, so I think. But even when you have one, to be honest, each day is very different, right?
Mhm.
And for you, when you have three, they are very different. Oh, I remember we were 10, and I think our parents tried maybe to parent us all, but I think my parents, there were ways in which sometimes the way they treated me was very different, because I didn't like when somebody raised their voice. And so, all those are some of the things that as parents do. But I'm so happy that to hear you talk about how you use different situations for each child and address their needs. And for that, they can't say that mother has a favorite.
No, they can't.
Yeah. So no, that's. I think I wish it could be done. Sometimes it's very difficult because their needs come at the same time. So how do you do it when they all want your time?
Well, that's why in my book, Practically Connected Parenting, I give 21 ways to create timeless memories in the teen years. So when the needs are varied, it will happen at different times. So because one other thing you can do is take them on a date. So each child has a turn where you're
Awesome.
meeting with them one-on-one. So that way every child gets the attention that they need at
Other
that
need,
stage
yeah.
in life. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of it, they won't come and say, "Oh no, mom just favored the firstborn," or "Mom just say I gave you equal time."
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's very good. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And I think maybe the question that I have next is on communications and the role of communication, especially with the digital world that we are living in. And what role have you found that communication plays, especially for us parents, and how can we specifically communicate with the teens that we are raising to ensure that we are connecting?
Thank you for that question. So that one is there are different lenses we have to wear, right? So
Yeah.
first of all, we have to remember they are also going through transitions. They're
Mm-hmm.
changing emotionally, hormonally, and all those changes they are navigating. So as parents, it's not so much as telling them or giving instruction. We have to take on the hat of a coach where we're listening more, we're affirming, we're confirming, are we hearing what they are saying? Because it's not what we said, is what they heard that truly matters when it comes to communication. And like I mentioned earlier, sitting in on what they are consuming electronically, right, on the media, so that you know that this is aligning with your own principle. So those are the things that we have to take into consideration. And so also when it comes to that communication, zooming into the immigrant families, we can't assume that what we said translates the same way to them because I don't know if it has happened to you. Sometimes I find myself thinking in my local language and but I'm speaking English. So because for example, let me give you a story. When I asked my son, I said, "Can you bring me the broom from the laundry room?" And so he went and brought me the broom. But my Nigerian brain is like, you're supposed to ask what the broom is for and sweep. So that's my expectation culturally. But he brought the broom and left it. So I'm like, what just happened? So he heard me, but not through my cultural lens. So, as immigrant families, we have to be conversant that what we're saying may not always translate to what the child is hearing. And so, explaining becomes very important for us to be on the same page. So, that is essentially, and until they hear what we said, connection doesn't happen. It's like
Yes.
telephone, right? Unless the person has a connection, you can't really talk to them on the other end.
Good.
So, ensuring we have good communication so we can connect.
So in this case, what should have been the question? Please bring the broom and sweep the floor.
Yes, bring the broom and so now that's what they do now. They say, "Mom, I know you told me to bring the broom, but I know you want me to come and sweep."
So you just say, "Bring the broom." Yeah, they brought the brooms.
Yeah.
I love that example. I think, you know what, our kids want clarity. I think that the bottom line is they want clarity.
Yes.
They don't want assumptions, because if you tell me to bring something, I'll bring it. But if you give me the instructions to do something, then I'll do it. And they also have the liberty to say, no, 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 I'm busy, I'm doing this. Right?
Yes.
Oh my God. I love that.
Wow. And I like how you said it's about what they hear,
Uh-huh.
not what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Because some statements to us and our backgrounds mean something else, and what they're hearing is something else. So
Yeah.
that was a very great example. Oh
I'm
my
sure you
God.
still laugh at this one.
No, I do. I do, and they too. So, like you said, right? If they know they're busy, they'll tell me, "Mom, I can't sweep right now."
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm
Wonderful.
sure the one was bring the broom, leave it, and then they go back to what they were doing. Uh-huh.
Yes, yes.
Oh my God, this is wonderful. And you know what? Actually, before Pearl, before you go to the next question you may have, I think as you say, we are bringing up our children in a culture that we ourselves are learning about. We're trying to discover who we are, different from how we were raised. And how do we reconcile these at the same time to ensure that as we are raising them, we are giving them the richness of our culture
Yes.
as we are giving in in some of the
To the
demands that they have.
diversity.
Giving them the richness or imposing it.
I think it's giving the richness because I remember when I was telling my son, sometimes this is what we used to do, and my son would just say,
I know.
Yes.
Mom, that was your time.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think it's how we say it, and I think when we say it well, even within the culture that we have, they listen because they also know these aspects of our culture that have grounded us to become who we are, to enable ourselves to navigate through this system that is very complex and very different from what we used to do. So
That's true. Well, let's talk about discipline. Since we're since we're on that path, in this day and age, their time, not our time. How do you approach discipline while still protecting their trust and connection, as well as while fostering independence? How do we approach that aspect, discipline?
Discipline. Wow. Thank you for that question. So I will share a story. I know that's just
and that's
Love that.
good.
so one morning, I was going to drop my son off at school, 30 minutes before school, and so I reminded him, but I saw him on the table tapping away his pencil. I'm like, we're getting late for school. What are you doing? He said, oh, Mom, I just realized that I have one more English homework and it's due this morning. I said, what? You remember basketball? You didn't remember your homework. The minute I said that, I'm like, oh, it's something I wanted to take back. Because here is the issue. The night before he finished the other homework and even printed it out and showed me, he went for youth group. He slept late. That morning, he woke up before 6 and went for basketball practice. So it wasn't as if he was lazy. He just forgot. But this time, he was pressed for time. And on the other hand, I have appointment after drop-off. So he's getting doing homework and my own brain is calculating I'm going to be late for my appointment, collided. That was what made me
Raise your voice.
raise my voice and react that way. So let me now break it down. When it now comes to discipline, my lesson that day is it's not so much what we're correcting, but looking beyond what just happened. And I use what they call the lens framework, LENS. L is look beyond the behavior. E is engage in their language. N is notice what is not being said. And S is see the strength in the differences. So, but for this particular one, the L comes in, looking beyond what just happened. So I use the iceberg principle. He had his own iceberg. I had my own. On the top was the situation. The bottom of his own is all those activities I mentioned, youth group, late night, early basketball. Under my own iceberg is my appointment. And I already gave myself the 20 minutes that I will use to drive after drop off. So now that he's doing homework, it's cutting into that time. So under my iceberg is my appointments, my meetings, my classes. So if we have this iceberg in our houses, when anything happens, mentally, what's underneath this? So I just tell parents, ask those 3 questions. If something happens, just pause. What is underneath this situation? What else can I do about it? Is it a discipline issue or is a mentoring issue? And then the third thing is, which road am I about to travel?
Yes.
Am I going to take the low road, the middle road,
Oh,
or
the
the
high
high
one.
road? So this concept I got from Dr. John Maxwell. So translating it to parenting, the low road is that one I took that morning. The raising of our voice. And if we were in Africa, the cultural jabs that follow, which I cannot mention on this podcast. And and that demoralizes the child. We're not uplifting
Exactly.
them. So the middle road, however, it sounds a little better, but it's not either, because that's
Yes.
when we use words like you don't listen, you always
Yes.
repeat. When we use
Yes.
those always words, it's not true. So we're going down middle road. But the high road is where we're disciplining with dignity.
Yes.
We want to raise a leader. So they are watching us. How are we treating them? When there's a misunderstanding, do we still respect them? Do we value them? And so do we treat them as if this is not the end of the world? And are we giving them tools for repair of that situation? So this is what I said, we as parents, especially the immigrant families, we have to unlearn what we thought discipline was. Because if you look at the root word of discipline, the root word is actually teaching, learning, experience.
Mentoring, coaching.
So coaching. So we must relearn this, what discipline actually means, and choose our response very well. So
Yes.
when you say, that's how we can build trust, because
Yep.
essentially as parents, we're leaders, right? Like
Correct.
Dr. John Maxwell said, right? Leadership is influence.
It
So
is.
our influence at home shows in how we are leading our children, and we are
Mm.
the first example of leadership that they will experience. And people follow leaders they can trust. So the
Correct.
same thing, our children will follow us when they can trust that we will be there for them, we will keep to our word, and we will treat them like we want to be treated, the golden rule. So it
Correct.
doesn't mean that we don't address the situation, but we address it in a way that we're raising a child who will be independent, who will be a leader, who will go out to be a positive influence in the community. So yeah, that's my that's my
Yes.
story.
It's a wonderful, wonderful
Wow.
story. Wonderful story. I love it. I think for me, what I always maybe did was ask, what have you learned from this situation?
Hmm.
That was always my question, because because I'm one person. When I was younger, I never liked anybody to raise the voice,
Hmm.
right? And with that came where I said, okay, if you've done anything, let me know. And again, you talked about trust, right?
Yeah.
When we raise our voices as parents, the kids, the fear, you
Yeah.
want them to come to us whether they have made a mistake or whether don't have the homework, like your son said, oh, mom, I've forgotten something. That's really trusting you, trusting the parent, right? So those are some of the things, and I said a lot of things collided at once, because now it's conflicting time conflict, and I think that raises that. But my motto is always to ask, and that's what I always did for my son is, wow, what have you learned from what you did?
Hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
therefore it raised a conversation, because you mentioned one thing is we want to lead to we want to raise next generation leaders who
Yes.
are going to make decisions, right? And those decisions, they'll either succeed or they'll fall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I'm
Now,
so, yeah.
before, Miss Chiwa, sorry to cut you short there.
Yeah.
Before you proceed, I'm still hung up on that 20 minutes though. So what happened? Because
Oh,
I
so
like I like the strategy that you have shared, but bearing in mind that you have 20 minutes, how many minutes do you have to intentionally think about your response and what you would do? And, did you make it to your appointment? What happened?
okay, so yes, he finished his homework. I dropped him off at the bus lane, so he just crossed over to school, and I made it to my appointment just on
On
time.
time.
So
Awesome.
what happened was the traffic had passed, because by dropping him that late, the school traffic had
Mm,
dissipated, so the road was freer for me to get to my appointment. So yeah, thank you.
There's
Thank you
always a
so much.
blessing in something.
Yes, there's always a blessing. So my rule is let's raise discipline with empathy.
Empathy,
Right,
yes,
right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, and being, I think parenting, to be honest, there is so much beauty, but in the end, I see the growth that it brought in you. I see
Yeah.
the growth that it brings in us. And even today, all of us, even adult children, sometimes we may be tempted to ask those questions. But I think what we are discussing today applies to every one of us, regardless of what stage our children are at.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, that was good. That was good. But I think maybe before we move from there, how did your son take it?
Oh my goodness.
That's what I would like to know. How
What
did
would
he
you like
take
to know?
it, and how did you move on forward? Uh,
So I had to have the conversation with him and explain what was going on with me to that morning, why that response. And so, yeah, that was a humbling situation for me, right? To apologize and to explain to my son later that, wow, we have to be more intentional about one, checking all our homework the night before. And I too have to be more intentional about not spreading myself thin or congest the appointment, because you can see he had the overload of activities. I also had it. So be conversant in planning our schedule. So, like you said, parenting grows us daily, and that definitely was a growth moment for me.
it's a good growth. I think we all need it. I think, as you said in the beginning, there is no manual.
Mhm.
If we had a guideline, we'll go and say, oh, on page 15, I think it
Yeah.
says that. Let me wait. Yes. So that's one lesson that you have learned from your child. Is there another moment that you can share that you've learned from your kids or your children about leadership and how you lead the young ones?
Yes, thank you. So, this one has to do with my conferences. So there's this youth conference I teach at UC Davis, and I had done it 2 years in a row, and my daughter was home from college, so she helped me set up my technology, projector, everything. So the third year I was back there, and I just realized she wasn't home and there was no tech support. So I tried to figure everything out on my computer, everything. I tried, and it was almost time for the students to come for my workshop. So I called her on FaceTime and said, "Can you help me?" So I'm here dangling all the cables, and she's showing me what to do to connect everything just in the nick of time as the door was opening for the students to come in. And so for me, a leader is a learner, and
Yes.
we can learn from anyone no matter their age. So my daughter saved my training that day, and so I'm forever grateful. So being attentive to learn from our children has been something valuable. And just recently, my son, he came home and said, "Oh, mom, I won three prizes today in school." And he was excited, and he was showing me, it was one of those gift cards. So he was showing me and waving just one of it. I said, "I thought you said you won three gifts." He said, "Yes. I gave the other two to my classmates who didn't win any." I
Wow.
said,
Oh,
so for me, you
wow.
can see leadership is not just achieving things, it's also
Share.
giving.
Share.
So the values we teach at home, our children are picking things up. We don't know what they're picking. So just giving away two of his gifts and keeping one to himself, for me, that was a proud moment for me as a mom. So those are life lessons that my children are reminding me, and I'm learning from them.
Sharing the success. Sharing the
Yeah.
success. Wow. You've raised wonderful children. I think your journey in leadership, in coaching, I think is bringing up kids who will succeed and who are empathetic and who know how to communicate with others as well as just be with others and bring up other people, because that's what we need.
Yeah.
And what your child did actually brought up others because they went home and they had something in their hands. Yeah. Wow.
Yes, another aspect of important aspect of parenting is the differences, navigating the differences in our parenting styles. Would you speak to that? How have you navigated that in your home, and particularly digitally engaged children? How do you navigate our different styles in parenting in the home?
Oh, thank you. So earlier on, for my husband and I, we agreed that if they don't need a phone in elementary school because we're picking and dropping off. So until they hit middle school, before we release phone, so that we can reach them when the pickup locations change. And so that was one. And then in our home, as long as they were in up till they graduate, up to high school, we have a charging station. So no phones in your room at night. So everybody, you charge your phone at this specific location. I mean, they know me. My phone is always off at night. Is on my desk charging, and I turn it off. So they know that they charge their phone in that charging station there. And when it comes to usage of the technology, we also agreed on setting a timer. So now when we see our son on iPad or anything, we say, "Did you set a timer?" And so he will say yes. So we would know, okay, he set a timer and say how many minutes is left. Once the timer goes off, he knows he has to switch activity. So that kind of aligned us, because those are just it's based on our values for the children, not so much what I want or what my husband wants. We wanted to, it's like we're growing the same garden. So we want to put what will let that garden to really blossom and bloom. So that's how we navigated the technology space. And of course, like I mentioned earlier too, when they're watching things, to try and be present so that we can help them interpret different things that do not align with our values, so they can see and interpret the world through that lens. Because if we're not part of it, I feel like the internet will be the parent, and we'll be thinking we're parenting because we're home, but the values and the world views they're assimilating will be totally different from ours. So that's why it's very necessary to align. It's not so much as sameness, but align with based on your values and the kind of child you want to raise.
Yeah.
All right, you say something very critical there, and it's been ringing the back of my mind. There's a difference between being there in the home and being present.
Mm-hmm.
And you just spoke to that. So just sitting into the activities and knowing exactly what they're going through makes you present rather than just being there. Nice.
Yeah.
I think what I see is parent engagement. What you're saying is, as parents, we really need to be engaged in our children's activities. It's not just allowing them to use the phone, especially nowadays when a child is 3 years old and the child knows how to use the phone and they are seated and all they are doing is, we'll go on a table, everybody has a phone. You go anywhere, everybody is like, then what's the purpose of us coming together as a family? I think what you've done as a family, maybe the parents, is you have agreed upon the terms under which I think the children are going to be raised. That is something that is, I think, I admire as we discuss here, because many parents, I think the conflicts come between the parents before it even extends to the children, because we do not have an agreement. Very few of us switch off the phones at night and put them on the dock, because our phones are on the bed,
I
right?
like that.
The peeing
Charging
and the
station.
being, the charging stations. And I think it's really important for these children, because as much as the phones are good, I think there's something that we are missing. Technology is everywhere, everybody, and we are forgetting what matters is that closeness for the family. It distracts. Yeah, and you've answered a lot in terms of the technology and what technology is doing. I think for you, because you've already decided what each and every member of the family is going to do. But what I also see is you walk the talk. Because there are some parents say, yeah, you can't do this, but in the end, they're on the phone. Yeah.
I'm at fault. Mom, you didn't even turn on your phone. I'm trying to reach
To
you.
reach you, yes,
Oh
yes,
no.
yes, 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 yes.
So,
Yeah. So I think in technology and also cultural differences, it's because I see that as you are addressing some of these questions, some of these answers, you've addressed both the technology aspect, you've also addressed the cultural aspect because you and your husband talk. And the children know that these are decisions that are made between these two parents, and therefore they cannot come and navigate between the two of you. so, so yeah, so that's how truly that's what I'm picking up. But maybe how you can maybe sum up what I think in the end there is a question that Pearl is going to ask, but for me is. How do you see maybe your children? It may not be a question that we have. How do you see the children appreciating what you've done for them?
you know, my children say things like, Mom, so you like, okay, let me do for example, when I would call them to, I've done like their DISC personality assessment, so I help them process self-awareness. We do like a book club where initially I would just buy one book, we'll take turns reading at the same time and explain it. But later I started buying the same copy, everybody your own copy, so you can highlight and bring what you learn to the table. So when I want to say, oh, you can share that with your friend, you can do it, he says, no, mom. They don't do that type of thing in their house. So you can see the uniqueness in parenting. Every family is going to be different. And so being able to know that my children appreciate it. And one other thing that happened was there was one summer I did dating and boundaries with my daughter. And so she went to school, and then one day she called me and said, Mom, my friend is having this challenge and she's asking me questions. I said, well, you remember we did that book. So I now showed her the page. I said, remember this topic. So that's where your answer is. So you can pass the answer on to your friend. And so that's what she did. And because she said her mom, even though she's also an immigrant like myself, doesn't mix with other cultures, only stays in her own
Within.
community. But I made the effort, like, if I'm going to live in a new country, I better know other people from other countries, not just people from my culture. So that was so now that our children are navigating this new culture, it's good for us to understand what is going on so we can help them navigate because the answer from our original culture may not work
Maybe
in this
different,
new
yeah.
culture. So that's what I'll see is the difference between the way I'm raising my children and the feedbacks they give to me.
Okay, wonderful. And them coming to get to source information. And you have written a book, and I'm sure it's on parenting. So maybe you can tell us more about this book because I can see all these nuggets are coming from that book, and maybe you can send us to a certain page so that we can look at it as well.
So, actually, I wrote two books out of it will be three in total, but the two have been released. The first one is The Practically Connected Parent 21 Ways to Build Timeless Memories in the Teenage Years. And so in that book, I explained 21 activities I do with my children, like cooking together, taking a walk together, watching TV together. So doing these things, playing board games, these are all ways we can connect. And the beauty of this activity is that it's keeps your children relaxed. So you can even have serious conversation because it's a relaxed atmosphere instead of saying sit down let's talk, but as you're doing these activities they will be talking about different things that is happening without you even asking. And when I wrote that book, I only wrote my experience with my children. Then one day it just dawned on me, my own parents did similar things with me growing up. So the book has the now version of me and my children, the then version of my parents and me. So this is about passing on legacy, what we're doing to be intentionally transferring. So I didn't sit down to say, let me repeat what my parents did. It was just unconsciously that I did all this with them. And after the fact, I said, wow, my parents actually did this. So that is what's in that first book. The second book is called Unlocking the Parent Teen Connect Code: 7 Keys to Build Lasting Legacy. Unlocking means there's something that we have to decode. And those 7 keys essentially itemize the 7 obstacles that gradually erode parent teen communication. It's what's going to prevent us from passing on legacy to the next generation. So if we can unlock each one and address it as we're raising them, remember we talked about the dash, the 0 to 18, when we have the direct influence, that is the moment we need to unlock those keys and help them navigate life, understand them. So that is what essentially that second book is helping us to do. So we will know that once that 18 years come, we have successfully passed on legacy through every interaction. We've removed all the obstacles, and they can go on to parent the next generation with our wisdom as well.
I'm going to buy them for my son and their fiance so that when they
Oh,
start their own, they have a book to read. Yeah, it's,
thank you so
yes,
much.
I've done my part. Now it's them for them to do their
Oh,
part. Thank
goodness.
you.
Yeah, like the books are available on Amazon. So,
Yes, I saw that.
yeah.
And
I'll
I,
definitely be getting those for myself as well. Been taking notes. Did I mention I have 5 of my own? So
Oh my goodness.
yes,
she
yes.
she is a trooper, this woman. She
Yeah.
is
So you
just
just
an
gave
she
me
is a
some.
phenomenal person. I don't know how her energy, she is in volunteering, she is in this, she's, oh my
Wow.
god. She's also an author of Breaking Barriers.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Oh,
See now?
she is.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'd like to check that
So
out.
yeah, I will be looking into those books as we transition into the various stages of parenting. So yeah, looking forward. And if before we end, you could send us the links, and we'll be able to share those. I'm sure there's some parents out there that are like, "Let me get that book." So thank you for sharing with us. As we close, if you have any final encouragement or advice to offer to parents who feel overwhelmed or disconnected right now.
Mm. What I'll say is it's never too late to reconnect, and your presence matters more than ever. Remember, I told you how my daughter said, Mom, I'm happy you were present when I was home. It's not everything you're saying they're hearing, you would assume, but they are taking it in. So your presence does matter.
Mm,
And when it comes to disconnection, I always ask parents, like we started with, right? The community. You don't do it alone. For me, I engage mentors for my children. I even hire coaches for my children, even though I'm a coach. And even those pivotal decisions about their career choices, we've invited even a counselor to the table to help them make those educated decisions. So when I go alongside families, it's always rewarding for me when they come back and say, wow, like one mother-daughter situation, the daughter said, well, thank you, Coach Remi. Me and my mom, we don't fight as much anymore. My mom understands me better, and I'm learning to listen. The mom
mm,
is like happy that Remi, your coaching felt like a lifeline that prevented my boat from capsizing. So for me, that is the rewarding part, that we are helping each other to raise the next generation. Because truth be told, it's not just the children in front of us we're raising. We're raising
mm.
their
The
children's
next
children
generation.
and
Right.
generations after them. So mom, dad, don't give up, stay present, and you would see the reward, maybe not today, but you will surely see it in that next generation. Stay present.
Yes. And keep learning from the children too.
Yes, keep learning from the
Listening.
children.
Yeah. Oh. All right. my God. No, wonderful. It's really wonderful to hear about parenting, because as you're talking, I'm also looking at how I've parented my single child, and I look back and I say, at least because God was present whenever I was raising this child, I relied totally on Him, and I was really, I'm indebted to many of my friends, many of the caregivers. And that community is what sustained me. I used to travel a lot as a mother, and what you're saying exactly is stay present. Even if you are traveling, you can be miles away, but you can still be present every day. So thank you for that, because presence matters. And you can only maybe discipline your children if you're present.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Remi. I wish we had tons and tons of time to talk about parenting, because it is a very important topic. And for the young ones who nowadays they don't even have community, it is a topic of significance that we need to discuss. And I just love your learnings. So thank you for joining us in really navigating this journey and hearing your stories, Remi, about parenting. I can't wait to buy your book and see those 21 codes that I may not have uncoded.
No, it's a seven.
You have time.
It's only 7 codes.
Ah,
The 21 is the activity.
Okay.
the 7 codes, I will look at them and I'll discuss with you and see whether I uncoded them during my parenting. So, parenting, I find it to be both an art and also a journey that normally shapes our patience. It shapes our creativity. It shapes our endurance, our resilience, and actually our love for our children that we want to bring and help become the next leaders that we are creating. So every moment with our children helps us shape who they become and also who we become as parents, because they let us, or they allow us to learn through their own lenses. And if I can quote our famous author, Maya Angelou, who says, to describe my mother would be to write about a hurricane in its perfect power.
Wow.
Just as a hurricane can feel overwhelming, parenting can, but it can also bring the greatest joy and fulfillment. And I can attest to that. As we close, always remember, there's no limit to what you can accomplish as a parent. And there's no one like your child, exactly as they are. So thank you, Remi.
Thank you so much for having me, Pearl. Thank you for having me, Chibwe.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all for joining us on navigating the journey of parenting. Every joyful moment and every challenge helps us grow as parents, and it shapes who our children become, as we have heard today. So cherish the moments and keep growing together. We hope to see you on our next episode. Thank you for joining us on this journey.